Babe, it's time for another VEILGUARD video.
Yes, honey.
Varanus starts a new thread titled Steam Best of 24 in Revenue. And he posts a link to, the Best of 24. Let's take a look at this. Where's VEILGUARD? Is it here? Is it here? Hello? Oh, there's War Thunder. Shout out. I don't see any VEILGUARD. I'm scrolling really fast. Oh, there it is. Yep, we did it. We did it, guys. We did it. We won. The fort's ours. Pretty bad for Western AAA with another A, except some long-running series like COD. Try to find VEILGUARD. You will scroll a while. Smiley face. I did actually have to scroll a while. Fluff Puff replies, says, how can it be? Times Magazine ranked Dragon Age the VEILGUARD as Game of the Year. So many journals said is the best game of this year. WTF, Gabe? It should be a lie. Varanus, the OP, writes, Steam must fudge the numbers. It really can't be. Daisy Ray writes, I didn't have to scroll long. It's in gold on new releases. Also, the majority of the top selling games are ones that are free. So if you took those out, a lot of games would be higher. Varanus replies to that and says, if my grandmother had wheels, she'd be a bike. Mr. Soul writes, shh, let them enjoy themselves. Hating on this game is apparently all they have in life. Daisy Ray, eager to participate in the circle jerk, replies to Mr. Soul saying, oops, you're right. Jade replies to Daisy Ray with a wall of text. I'm gonna read the last paragraph. So realistically, it beat out a lot of popular games this year, and once you account for many of the games above it being higher in revenue due to MTX, it is ranked pretty high in terms of single player games. So most of the doomsaying is actually clearly disproven by this chart. So if you don't want to know what's funny about this, look up the definition of this word. And if I need to explain it more, you're just never gonna get it. Keith, who owns VEILGUARD, writes, actually, it won a bronze award, which puts it in the top 1% of games by revenue this year. This word again, do you guys know what this word means? You can have $1 billion of revenue and still lose money. That's not what anybody should care about. You should be replacing this word with profit and then rewriting your entire sentence. But no, we can't dunk on the chuds if we use profit, so we're gonna use revenue instead. And hopefully they're dumb enough to not ask any questions. Ooze replies to Varanus and says, true. I don't trust any numbers if I didn't make them up in my head beforehand. Egg Down, who owns VEILGUARD, writes, pretty amazing placing considering how long it was out. It had less than 2 months and made it that high. I'm not even gonna go in on that. Let's just move on. Cowland Enjoyer 27, we've seen him before, writes, top 24 is great. What is this, Cope? Cash Rafal, who owns VEILGUARD, writes, you don't have to scroll long. It's in the bronze section, right next to a runner-up for GOTY Metaphor. So it isn't in a bad spot now, is it? Considering by Steam Spy alone, DA sold more copies. I get it. You don't like wokeness. But it seems 2Game didn't do too bad in sales after all. Again, this is referencing the concept of revenue. Revenue doesn't matter. Am I the crazy one? How much profit did it make? Because again, you can, nope, never mind. Just delete that. Yeah, this is a Cope thread. This is just, I don't know, people that own the game trying to cope for a multi-million-dollar corporation. Sounds good. Simon Optic writes, it's in bronze and being beaten by Crusader Kings 3, which came out in 2020, has sold 3 million copies since coming out. So it's not exactly the hottest seller this year, but even still being beaten by it for this year is abysmal. Silent Hill 2 is also in bronze with its sales figures being about 1 million according to Google, but that would cover Steam and consoles. Overall, this just points to the sales figure of 1.5 million copies being more believable than anything, meaning Dragon Age VEILGUARD would need to sell another 1 million copies at full price on all platforms just to break even, considering its budget was about 250 million. See, it's only the haters. Only the haters bring up the budget and the concept of profit being revenue minus cost. But no, we're not, the whole minus cost thing, no, it's irrelevant. Just revenue, guys. Just focus on the number of revenue. It's a big number, therefore, the trolls lose. You hear that, chuds? You lost. Cash Rafal writes, it wasn't beaten by Crusader Kings 3. It was beat by the DLC that came out for Crusader Kings 3, which was this year. The best stuff doesn't count DLCs. It just counts the program that is in line with it. It's why you see Elden Ring up there, because the DLC came out this year. Wait, doesn't that make get worse. It was beaten by a DLC of a 5-year-old game. Oh no. Yeah, do you feel debunked yet, chuds? It was DLC. Synoptic and I are on the same page. He writes that actually makes it so much worse. Mods, can we go ahead and ban this person? He's being negative. Jade writes, given all the leaked reports were saying stuff like them only selling 250k to 500k units are also the source of the budget numbers being thrown around. Probably worth taking those with a bit of a grain of salt. It's extremely unlikely this game had anywhere near a budget of 250 million. Then he posts a Wikipedia link. Browse this list, then compare the fact that BioWare Edmonton is considerably smaller than many of the developers on that list. It stretches any believably that it would be remotely that high. I think this is, yeah, I don't know about this. I think you look at something like Concord costing 400 million, and then you see how that happened, and you see how long BioWare has been developing Dragon Age. I can see this happening easily. These studios and these publishers know how to just blow money on nothing. If they're good at one thing, it's wasting an insane amount of money. I disagree with you, Jade. And no, I'm not clicking on your Wikipedia link. Well, somebody posted a link to some article, and the post isn't here, so we're gonna click on this and see what it entails. Wow, well, I gave him a click, so now we gotta read it. We have Corinne Bush is the ruler of RPGs, conqueror of haters. Oh boy, oh, I don't know if I want to read this. This is pretty rough. Oh geez, we have a paragraph starting with, as such, Dragon Age has always been incredibly progressive. Yes. Queer romances, okay, sounds good. Character being transgender, yeah, it's always been like this, chuds. Deal with it. Oh, that's a shocker right there. Sounds good to me. The fight for progress and fate for Dragon Age. Oh boy. Ooh, this is exhausting. Dragon Age is far from the only game that's come under fire recently, particularly for inclusions of diversity or diverse storytelling. Yes, this is the problem right here. This is the core of the problem. Oh, guys, all we're trying to do is get rid of this. Just throw this out and everything's solved. What am I reading? What is this journo garbage? I actually regret giving these people a click. I want my ad revenue back. Oh, here we go. Game developers also need to feel safe in what they do, which ultimately means being able to see themselves reflected in their work. Here we go, boys. Yep, this right here. To Bush and the team, it felt like the right time to really take Dragon Age's exploration of identity further. All right, I think we're done here. I regret clicking on this. I wish I could go back in time and tell myself not to do it. So we're gonna go ahead and leave off of this garbage and go back. We're gonna improve our quality of content. We're gonna go upwards into the Steam forums. Think about that for a moment. Calendar writes, yeah, that's why so far Dragon Age VEILGUARD isn't in any shape or form a success. Also, what's it with developers thinking there's some sort of influencers or superstars? They're not. They code games and have terrible management skills. That's what developers are. Blavalicious writes, yeah, it really killed all those hentai and asset flip shovelware games that make up like 80% of Steam's yearly catalog editions. Go VEILGUARD, heck W. Harry Potter writes, lol, VEILGUARD beating Metaphor or DQ is nothing to sing song about. Those games have more than half player base in Japan who don't play game on Steam, and Dragon Age have at least 3 times budget of those JRPG. Metaphor sold 2 millions is profitable when VEILGUARD with that number is a failure. This year does not have any Western great games, so Heart like VG managed to be in a higher tier, that's all. Yeah, but the revenue, Harry Potter, the revenue, think about the revenue. All right, this starts boring now. Next, Diva, Vivi, she, they, opinions, mine. We've seen them before. Starts a new thread titled negative 35% sale because VEILGUARD is success. Do not listen. VEILGUARD is top hit. EA/BioWare made enough money with high sales so that they can lower the price now. Make it accessible to ex-poorer kids and spread the popularity even bigger. Anti-woke don't understand, but you lose. You are lost. We and EA BioWare winners. It didn't flop and never will flop. Starsberry first reply writes, indeed, it's made so much for Amazon that they have physical copies for 50% off. Oh my god, they do. doing 50% off. Amazon are equally renowned for having huge discounts, cuts on products that are selling well, as they just love giving away money. It must have made at least $14 billion at this point. If not, I'll pull a bar for misgendering its level of success. Pineapple Muse starts a new thread titled, "This game should have won Game of the Year 2024. Everyone knows it. No other game even comes close to this. This year's The Game Awards was a joke. Bad She-Her writes, it won Time Magazine's Game of the Year. VEILGUARD has quite powerful LGHD TV QIA 2++ narratives. Tyler writes, you have to question the life choices of people who waste any of their own time to obviously troll. Myobi writes, 2 out of 10 bait, unoriginal, overused, public profile without a sign of the game itself. No effort into those miserly 2 lines of text. It's a poor excuse of a clown trying to farm clowns out of this clown community." Bob Rodabro with a wine emoji writes, "But you can just identify it as a winner. That's simple." Oobly writes, PS5 Dragon Age VEILGUARD game owner. Lol, this game is so bad. Maybe it gets better so far though. First few hours, the intro is bad. Cutscenes are bad. Controls are bad. Story is bad. RPG elements are bad. Choices are non-existent. Dialogue has been pretty much non-existent. Oh, the level up options, at least for my sword and board, are some of the worst options I've ever seen in gaming history too. This game shouldn't have Dragon Age in the title. Game so far has been 200% trash. Okay, with a new thread titled Stereotype Collector. Upon beating the game, I can conclude that it is the cringiest stereotype collector I have ever seen, since the VEILGUARD is highly political and reflective of our society. Let's see what the writers had in mind while writing and stereotyping to hell each companion. Balara, a cute, tiny Asian that is into tech, living in her own little kawaii world. Very clumsy, not a thought in her mind, but somehow can operate complex elven artifacts. Embodies the collective West perception of Asian girls. Lace Harding, a radical optimist valley girl, just like Balara, always awkward and Disney-like, but less likely to assume negative outcomes and will most certainly give you an Instagram-fueled pep talk. Lucanus, a Latin American obsessed with coffee. He is part of a gang, crime family, and coincidentally talks about coffee so much it is very annoying. Davrin, unlike characters mentioned above, is less likely to annoy you. He is just highly repetitive with his obsession about griffins, limiting his character development. He is stereotyped to be a bro, but luckily does not seem to have any racial stereotypes woven into his writing. Neve? I didn't play the game. A strong, independent woman that lacks any depth whenever Rook's decision negatively affects her. Her unprompted for explanation is always, I just know these things. Once Heaven Tier is blighted, all she said was, I am mad, but it is okay. See you later in camp. Emrich, this one is brief. Even though he is written well, the main point is that a powerful white man, Emrich, is afraid of losing power in his life, so he will do anything to retain this power. Tosh, fan favorite. If this was supposed to be a non-binary representation, BioWare made sure it is negative. Whiny, arrogant, appropriating the coon and telling people they can wear what they want from other cultures and disrespect others. A brave dragon killer that constantly needs reassurance and to be apologized to. Always bickering about unrelated things with other companions. The societal stereotypes about non-binary people embodied in one character, Tosh.
So, I'm non-binary.
New Year's 1978 who owns the game writes, sadly, you're not wrong. Insomnia starts a new thread titled, Reviews are manipulated. No way this game gets this positive lymphow. This game is trash. No way it's not at least getting mixed or lower. This gotta be some sort of manipulation. Rezit, who owns the game, writes, I like it. Insomnia the OP replies, sorry. Portico writes, mad cuz poor. Punish Jeremy writes, I'd give you a poetry, but I spent all my points on clowns earlier. Lizard, who owns the game, writes, I don't like the game, so everyone who enjoys it must be lying. Lol, imagine throwing a tantrum because people don't share your opinion. Couldn't be me. Testicles writes, when the majority discovers that they do not matter outside of their little incel bubble ... Archangel writes, hi again, thanks for replying. My pronouns are he, they. Dakar with a new thread titled, what makes a game woke exactly? I have seen this word woke thrown around very loosely. So what exactly makes a game woke? And how is Dragon Age VEILGUARD woke? I hope nobody tries to sincerely define this. Let's just look for the meme replies. Who's shitposting the hardest? Urion writes, a game is called woke when its existence is scaring weak minds. Bunny DeFluff writes, it means different things to different people, but I personally think that the woke always means the exact opposite of sweet, soft, and pretty women with sexy body. Steve Corp writes, woke 1. Any media that includes minorities the person doesn't want to see, or reference to any social issues the person doesn't want to hear. 2. Any media which implies that a member of a racial group which enjoys social privileges either doesn't deserve them, shouldn't use them, or are likely to lose them in the future as minority groups increase in size and start kicking back. 3. Any media which makes a progressive statement which the person disagrees with politically. He was clowned for that. Enjoy those points, Steve Corp. Shoegazing. Jeez, he posts a wall of text, but I think we're gonna go ahead and read it. Wish me luck, gentlemen. Woke is a word used by conservatives to distract you from the fact that there are marginalized people who experience far more discrimination. For example, the person above me believes that they are fighting for women's rights, but get angry at the sight of a woman being ugly. The only women they want in their game is someone they want to have sex with or jerk off to. This guy is favoring women beauty over a woman's feelings. What do you think a woman thinks when a man gets visibly angry that a woman in a video game isn't attractive because they aren't slim enough or don't have boobs big? And people wonder why women tend to fall into eating disorders or become extremely insecure. It is because of these people who value a woman not on her deeds but on her appearance. If that isn't enough to convince you, he also believes gay people are grooming your children simply by existing. They will never include facts about gay people trying to groom your children in the attempts to make them gay. This person above me is trying to make it seem that LGHD groups are trying to overtake the world or something just as crazy. White men have represented in video games for a very long time, and the moment games get more diverse, these freaks start rampaging. See the pattern? This person is a clear example of what these hearts stand behind. They hate ugly women, they hate weak men, and they hate the sight of a pride parade. It is always white men who believe they know more about inclusivity than the person oppressed, who needs that inclusivity for their well-being. They want LGHD to be as avoidable as possible in a video game because they are scared of it. Round of applause for shoegazing. How long do you think this took to write? This was so hard to read. I almost got lost about 3 separate times and I still don't know what he was trying to say, but sounds good, shoegazing. I hope you post again. Sweet Paroxysm with a new thread titled, why do the characters look so ugly? I wish they had at least one nice looking male and female character. Why is it mandatory to make characters look so bad? Vasago Rain, first reply, writes, they hate beauty, the human form and nature, so pretty things are forbidden. Both of these people were clowned, by the way. They all got a couple of awards. Tailmore writes, made after ugly people. Athel Asher writes, mental illness, and he got a handful of awards. In a deleted post, somebody with a very colorful username writes, I doubt OP's opinion of good-looking matches any real woman ever. Stick to your anime wifes, OP. GM Morgan, who owns the game and was clowned, writes, if the characters don't look good, get off the Xbox and get a real GPU. Got him. Daisy Ray, familiar name, writes, if your character looks ugly, it's because you made them that way. Mine and a lot of others are gorgeous. Most people make characters that are not conventionally attractive on purpose because their favorite streamer or YouTuber didn't get the game for free. What? Okay, sounds good, Daisy Ray. P2 2K writes, devs want to be represented. That's actually true. Remember that article that we read like 20 minutes ago? Caffend, who owns the game, writes, it's the boobs, isn't it? Chaos, we've seen him before, I think. He writes, I see the political activists are still active in the VEILGUARD forums after all these weeks. Now sprinkled on some cringe with the I am hip, listen to me attitude. Revenant K writes, because a satanic cult that hates anything beauty and nature pays them to make this tud. What does this mean? I'm out of the loop, guys. I'm not cool anymore. This Bale May Cry guy, he keeps on getting mentioned in people's replies, but I don't see any of his posts here. So they must have been pretty good. So pour one out for Bale May Cry, because he's out here doing God's work and he got banned. Hey, Ding Chavez, recognize him? He got banned, unfortunately. Pour one out. He writes, these games should come with made by ugly people for ugly people on the box/sale screen. And I'm not even talking about their looks. Solo Man writes, because your computer sucks. Tubera writes, because you have bad taste. Vara starts a new thread titled Dragon Age Flop. We won, gamers. And he got about 50 awards for this, so very well done, sir. First reply, Jick with a wall of text and a handful of clowns writes, how exactly did we win by making someone else lose? So there are not that many companies that have stayed true, but if no one is capable of making games good or bad, we do not get to play any new ones ever. By making games lose, the companies won't have chance to correct their products, even if they wanted to, and talent that would have grown from experience will be lost to other working opportunities with probably no gaming industry involvement. The ability and will to make games when support is non-existent and your efforts called trash is a way to make people not make any games. Blaming all on industry for failing your agenda of no freedom to be creative is negative in extreme. So the game is not as good as I expected. However, mostly the cause is on writing or plot, not that I was that surprised by it overall. Oh, God, that was exhausting. Not the most exhausting, but again, these wall of texts. By the end of it, I have no idea what they were trying to say. Something about we should be nice with our criticism so they can make better games. I wonder if anybody's gonna say what I'm thinking. Nope, I'll just say it. We tried that and it didn't work. So, yeah. Sounds like Jick hasn't been around very long. Don't worry, they'll come around. They'll figure it out, maybe. Fitness Lock. He's given 5 hilarious rewards replying to Jick. He writes, feels refreshing to find some common sense at last. The market for single-player RPGs isn't exactly saturated, and BioWare's shutting down would only result in less games being developed. People who celebrate over others losing their job is absolutely disgusting. If BioWare goes under and all these people lose their jobs, we won't have any more RPGs to play. So outside of EA and these big quadruple A publishers, there are no RPGs. Sound good? Meepy123 writes, even Farming Sim 25 had more players than this. There was no announcement the game sold over 1 million copies, so it's safe to assume they didn't. Some of these devs are hell-bent on destroying games and don't like gamers, their target audience. Is it sad that they might lose their jobs? Sure, but also some of them deserve it to an extent. This game was no success at all. Politics-related complaints aside, it had really bad writing, storytelling, and shallow characters with no personality. Just gotta say, the selective empathy from, I guess, these people in here is really interesting. Like, if they saw a container ship sail directly into the middle of a Cat 5 hurricane and the ship sunk, all the cargo was lost, but I guess everybody survived, would the captain of that ship deserve to lose their jobs? I bet you every single one of these people would say, yes, of course. They deserve to lose their jobs. But no, when it comes to game developers, especially the progressive ones, it's no, have a heart, think of their families. They're not gonna have any presents for Christmas. The double standard is pretty funny to me. It's like, no, if you're bad at your job, you pretty much deserve to lose your job. Maybe that was a bad example. Oh well, we're moving on. Child of the Girth writes, game is ass, with or without culture wars. Steve Corp writes, does OP think minority groups are going to stop growing anytime soon? Think the gays are going back into the closet? Women will go back into the kitchen? And the devs can go back to focusing on games for white English males who think diversity breaks their immersion? It ain't happening. Those minority groups are here to stay and devs are going to want to cater to them. Of course, we use the term minority loosely. The Chinese market in particular is so large that the entire American game industry could move over there and make so much scratch they'll never look back. If the anti-woke choose to embargo games, the only lesson the devs will learn is that there's no market in trying to please the anti-woke and everybody else, in which case the smart money is to focus on everyone else. Darth Roxas writes, BioWare could shut down tomorrow and not many people would care. Their reputation is at an all-time low and VEILGUARD was their worst game to date. Let them die. The BioWare of old has been dead for a long time. Genigma with a new thread titled, I just beat the game, ... And I really don't get the hate. No spoilers ahead. The finale is epic and mind-blowing and reminds me of Mass Effect 2. Overall, the game is pretty decent, although of course nothing comes close to Origins. The Steam achievements show us that over 70% have not yet seen the finale, so I think the reviews will only get better as time goes on. I think that in 5 to 10 years, this game will be considered a completely underrated classic. The same thing happened with Inquisition upon release, where most players were stuck in the hinterlands and never saw the credits, and only a fraction played that awesome Trespasser DLC on which VEILGUARD is based. Looking back, Inquisition was a great game. This will also apply to VEILGUARD. It's a shame that haters have to destroy franchises, so there certainly won't be another Dragon Age. Now I'm really worried about Witcher 4. The tourists will ruin that too. A little more calm and tolerance would be good for the gaming community. I don't know, man. If the OP still had you by this point, they should have lost you right here. Inquisition was a great game. I was suspicious when he called VEILGUARD an underrated classic, but no, this is a troll. It has to be. Now that I've been thinking about it, it's a troll. There's no way anybody writes this in earnest. Got about 10 awards for it too, so well done, sir. Well done. I Returned Friendly Fire writes, because it's funny making a multi-million-dollar company cry over 3-sentence tweets and simply not purchasing. Vermilion replies to that and says, simply not purchasing, he says, as hundreds of losers who haven't even played the game flood to the Steam forums to complain about whatever the hell wokeness means for hours on end. Okay's with me. He says, OP is trolling so hard with 2 clowns to show for it. I Returned Friendly Fire replies to Vermilion and says, Steam forums being more fun than a AAA game isn't a flex, mate. Verdeth writes, hey man, if you enjoy a sloppy trash game, good for you. Lori, who owns the game, writes, I really enjoyed it, and I also don't get the hate. Also, such an awful sign of our times to trash something online like they have this game. If you don't like it, state why in a logical, polite manner and move on. People who make it their hobby to do nothing else than spew emotionally charged, unsupported hate online about a video game are just sad. I recommend DATV to anybody who enjoys good RPGs, smiley face. I hate to sound like a broken record, but we tried. Mr. Soul replies to I Return Friendly Fire. He writes, I hope one day your life improves to the point you can afford new games and don't have to entertain yourself being spiteful towards others online. Merry Christmas and happy holidays. Man, if I wasn't so broke, I wouldn't be so bitter. I could actually afford VEILGUARD. Oh man. Maybe next year. Shala Shaksa writes, yes, blame the customer for not buying their product. Nice galaxy brain thinking. Lefty 1117, who owns VEILGUARD. This is not me, by the way. I swear, guys, it's not me. Stop saying this is me. He writes, user reviews have run their course in terms of usefulness. They are too easily manipulated with no accountability. At least with professional reviews, they can be called out and the community at large can take action via fewer clicks and whatnot. User reviews are just the mindless mob easily manipulated with social engineering with no resource or consequence for the perps. Putin and pals love stuff like this. Mushroom Infected starts a new thread titled BioWare is closing down. I will laugh at the clowns' faces after the game doesn't even reach 50k players and the diversity group is crying on X. This is October 29th, by the way. Toothcake replies to that and says, gonna start gifting copies just to make this Sigma's mad. This level of fragility is like crack to me. On December 26th, Karma writes, "It's over. I saved them. Bought my sister this game as Christmas gift." Mushroom Infected writes, "Lamau, your sister will hate you for the rest of your life." Fitness Launch once again writes, "Hoping for a company to close down and laughing at people for losing their jobs just because you don't like their product is extremely petty. But treating people with respect and giving constructive criticism seems to be impossible for the anti-woke crowd in the year 2024. Eldrin starts a new thread titled, "Face it, you're buying it. Nothing good coming out till 2025. You will buy this game, lol." That was on October 30th, 2024, which I believe was release day. Vitaretti on December 26th starts a new thread titled, "Sup guys? Just wanted to share that Palworld at this very moment has 20x more players than this quote-unquote game Steam happy. Holy shit," starts a new thread titled, "Trump, we are going to stop transgender lunacy. So he said there is only two genders and he will ban them for most places. What do you guys think? Is he going to change most of the industry like games too? Will games like Dragon Age VEILGUARD will vanish?" Lori37 first reply writes, "Stop bringing politics into this." Dr. Zan writes, "I expect him to dole out tax breaks and pay for it by expanding the deficit. Then he'll play golf for 4 years, like last time." NY Giants Yankees starts a new thread titled, "Am me one worried of EA closing BioWare now? DAV is tracking for less than 1 million sales. Hopefully a big holiday push saves BioWare from being closed so we can get Mass Effect 4. Topsy writes, "Bro, God knows how bad they will destroy Mass Effect." I think they already did. I think that happened like 10 years ago. I'm thinking about Mass Effect 3. I actually forgot about Andromeda. I didn't even play that. I'm just thinking about Mass Effect 3 and the ending. I actually read a fan ending of Mass Effect 3. It was actual fan fiction on a fan fiction website that was infinitely better than what BioWare gave us. And I have since replaced the BioWare ending with the fan fiction ending in my headcanon. And I just remember that as the end because it was actually good, unlike what BioWare made. Anyway, Shopper Keeper writes, "Worried? I hope they close before Mass Effect 5. I don't want new Mass Effect." Monjack writes, "Would you be worried if someone is taking out the garbages?" Stan McMillans writes, "Y'all need to stop crying. Either enjoy a game or don't buy it. Spreading non-stop toxic BS is helping no one." Ryu Amio writes, "Would we even want a Mass Effect made by these people? I think they, them should stay away from game development if the misuse of pronouns is something they, them consider worthy of corporal punishment." Halvos writes, "Saying I was worried implies I care if they do or don't. The fact is, if they close tomorrow, it'd just mean their IPs were up for sale and create an amount of hope that someone might release a Dragon Age or Mass Effect game I'll actually want to own." Yeah, I haven't mentioned it yet since I've started recording, but BioWare released Anthem in 2019. A lot of you forget about Anthem. Anthem was a BioWare product. Migromole starts a new thread titled, "I don't get it. What exactly is bad about the writing of this game? Aside from the wokeness, BS complains." Yes, I did not say wokeness is BS, but BS complains about that. Okay, I'm pretty sure I read that right. "I find the writing of this game as good as all the other DA games, including Origins. Did I miss something?" Sakura writes, "Just a lot of review bombing and complaining using the game as a pretext. It's pretty fun. Also in later parts, downright dark in some ways. The body horror of the blight being what it is, ... Reki writes, "You missed beginning the game." Dakar starts a new thread titled, "Dragon Age was objectively a huge success. Over 2 million copies sold. IGN, GameSpot, Polygon, etc. all praising it, giving it their highest score. Reviews are mostly positive rather than negative. Why are people saying this game was a failure?" Kosh Rafal replies to that and says, "Fits their narrative. Personally, don't care if it was a success or a flop, it exists. Get over it, people." Dakar replies to that and says, "People seem to have some sort of phobia of the game." Sage and Poot writes, "Quit crying about politics. What's woke about it? There are people of color? Someone who defies a gender role? The Fast Asleep Club is full of the snowiest of snowflakes. The game is doing incredibly well, and if it wasn't for review bombing by people who never played it would be doing even better." Lefty 1117 writes, "People who cry about woke don't know what the word even means. They're using it as a cover for their utter bigotry. Game was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. This is not me, guys. Stop saying this is me. Sassy the Sasquatch writes, maybe because the game was factually a financial failure, making grand total of $0 profit so far. But the revenue, Sassy, think of the revenue. All right, this video's gone on long enough. Let's put the kibosh on it. Who's gonna get the last word? All right, last word. We're gonna give it to Pomni, who posted a new thread that was locked. He writes, this game is still a success. Face it, even if you guys say it flopped, this amazing game sold well. Well, now that we've all been thoroughly debunked, I think it's time to put this video to bed. Hopefully you guys got a nice cheap laugh out of that, maybe made your commute to work go by a little bit quicker, but I think that's gonna do it. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, bye-bye.